Dave here, how are you? Today I'm going to have a little chat about showing you a product that has been sent over to me, and it's quite interesting because you know I'm a bit passionate about my bench here. This is a UJK Parf Super Dog. Now this is a little bit different from conventional stainless steel or aluminium dogs. This one does not need to be clamped from the underside at all. It relies on a couple of O-rings that actually expand as you turn the top section just here. It's an ingenious idea that Peter's come up with, and he is to be applauded for it. It has a nut, it has a spacer, it has two O-rings, it has a chamfered section, it has the body of the dog, and then the end of the bolt to turn and tighten, which compresses the whole Super Dog and expands these two O-rings. Whilst it's doing that, in this particular manner, it's pulling also down that chamfer onto the board. If you're doing it in this configuration with that chamfer there, you would probably need to get a hold of his little chamfering tool. Now this chamfering tool has got a conventional four-sided cutter in there that you can undo and rotate if it gets blunt. Not that it's going to happen. All you do is you pop it in a hole and then you turn it and turn it and turn it, and it cuts a nice chamfer. So it can drop down to there. I can't push it down any further than that. The chamfer section in the stainless steel has reached bottom there. The advantage of this also is there is no step out collar on my dog anymore, where that used to be a little bit of a problem. That would make the minimum thickness that you could use a track saw's guide rail on couldn't be any narrower than that shoulder. Peter also supplies a shoulder section just in case you want to use this in conjunction with other dogs that have got a shoulder as well. Or if you don't want to get the chamfer tool, this comes standard with it. But my advice is get the chamfer tool. It's going to make it a whole lot easier. So I'll pull it apart and I'll reconfigure it in the two other methods that you can do it. They come in a nice packet too. And he's got a little instruction kit here to show you the three different ways that you can put it together. I have a standard UJK Parf Super Dog right there. I have the one that's how you set it up as standard. I have one here that's got the chamfer. So it's a simple matter. Undo the bolt, take it out, take that guy out, take the chamfer section off. There's a small ring there that you slide onto there, and the tolerances are fantastic. You slide this back on. And before you ask, these will not work in a 3/4 inch system, they work with a 20mm system. So I can pop that into any hole, push it down all the way, and it's going to keep on going. I don't want to do that. So, but I can push it down to there, tighten her up, and it's going to stay there, but it's not going to be as stable as if I use that chamfer ring. If I don't want to get Peter's chamfering tool, I can still get by. Undo that, pull her out, put the stepped collar on. Undo this, pull that out, remove that one. I slide this on, it's got a receiver that lets it push all the way onto there. See that? I'll put that down for a second. Then the ring onto there, then put it all back together. Before you tighten that up there, just turn it. Push it together and turn at the same time. Hold it together and then lock. That's beautiful. Now what I can do is I can undo it, half a turn, slide it into a hole, push it down, tighten her up. That's solid. It's not going anywhere and it's not rocking around. It's a whole lot nicer to have that chamfered section there disappear and be flush with the top. He sends you a couple of spare O-rings just in case. I guess they're a standard size you could buy just about anywhere. I don't know that. I'm talking out of the top of my head there. Take it up. Do the chamfer. put the dog in, tighten her up. Beautiful. Very nice. Peter has designed a couple of other things into this Super Dog that maybe you won't spot straight off. You'll notice that the Parf Super Dog is shorter than the Parf Tall Dog. Now this is for a reason. This isn't just by accident. You might be aware that when you are cutting with a TS55, the motor hangs out past the edge of the saw's base. And because it does that, it will collide ordinarily with the dog at the other end there. Now I'm going to explain this in a little bit more detail. Let's say I've got a piece of timber that I want to cut. It's just a bit of scrap that I've got in the workshop. I'm putting another piece of timber at the other end of the section here to support the end of the track. Now using the track with the rail clips to hold it in position, I am aware of the thickness of this piece of timber, which is around 19 millimeters, 3/4 of an inch to most people. Where am I going with this? Well, I'll tell you. I try and go around 3 or 4 millimeters through the actual depth of the timber that I'm cutting. I've got the saw set to 28 millimeters. That's 5 millimeters for the track, 19 millimeters for the thickness of the material that I'm going to cut, which is 24 millimeters so far, and I want the blade to protrude about 4 millimeters through past the bottom of the cut. So I will travel past like so. But when I've got the saw turned on, and I'm not turning it on at the moment, but I just drop it down, it's not plugged in, and I can slide it. And I can, if you have ever done this, you will immediately see what a big plus that is. Now, you might say, well, that's fine, Dave, if it's working with 19, but what if I want to go with 30 millimeter thick material, or 16 or 10 millimeters? Well, the same distance is going to be relative off the top of the track because of the height you set your plunge for. If you've set the depth to being 4 millimeters past the actual thickness of the material you're cutting, you will be fine. This motor will go over the top. And I'll show you something. If I was to put that dog in there and put a piece of timber under there, and again, I'm at same thickness of material, so put the saw on and you see how it goes. Pushing it down, it's riding up on it. See, it's hitting the dog just here. Now, why is it so important for me to make comment that the saw will travel over there where I could just run it until the saw bumps into the edge? Well, I'll tell you why. It's just given me 96 millimeters more width of cut that I can perform on the one board, on the same bench. Okay, so where I may have been restricted to a certain amount, and also back at this end here as well, the motor's not bumping into anything. Ever think about that? So now I've got full width of this bench to be able to cut, because otherwise I would have had to have had another dog there and another dog here to step the whole job back so that the motor did not collide with the far dog. But seeing the new dogs are down a little bit lower, some may say, I'd rather have the extra height. Well, not in this situation. Bigger isn't always better. This is better to have it slightly shorter because it's going to make your bench a whole lot more versatile. And let's be honest, most people would use this bench for cutting sheet goods. Not so much for the bigger stuff. So even though you can do it, but most people, I think you'll find, will be cutting items up to 2 inches thick, and these will do it perfectly. What I would suggest, if you're going to get some of these things, rather than get 2, I'd get 3. Because then I can have 1, 2, 3 over here. Now, here's another thing. I have tried these in another top that I created using MDF as the board, and I found them to be quite tight in that MDF. With the plywood, I don't know why, but they're absolutely perfect in this sheet of plywood. So something to be aware of, maybe moisture content, I do not know. These may not be for everyone, but I'll tell you what, they're magic. You may want to go with something like that. repeaters, or you may want to do something different. Thanks for watching. Keep on coming back. Click that little registration guy down there in the corner if you want to subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up if you think it's worth it, and I shall see you next time. Bye.